Well, hello there and welcome to this little video which is on how to make a super powerful search engine for your website. Now, when I'm saying super powerful, by the way, I'm speaking Google standards, okay? Hello, Google standards. For example, my name happens to be David Connolly, and that's how you write my name. But lots of people get this wrong. A lot of people do it with an O, C-O-N-N-O-L-L-Y. And let's imagine you had like all these different people searching for a name, and they all do these crazy spellings, okay? Wouldn't it be cool if we had a search engine that could recognize that these are all the same? Well, it turns out you can do that. You can build these things, okay? And I'm going to show you exactly how this all works. So here is a little website here with a search bar. Now this one happens to have a category drop down, but don't worry about that. The idea, you've seen this kind of thing a million times. Somebody searches and the results come up, okay? A lot of people would build that by doing a query something like this. So they would use like statements, okay? You can see those like statements. And this is searching multiple columns, okay? The problem with that is that when you do something like that and you do London lowercase, right? So it's lowercase, then nothing comes up. So it's case sensitive, these like statements, and that is a big problem, okay? So this is just not good. Now there are a few different search queries that come with mySQL. Some of them involve booleans and scores, and maybe you've messed about with things with match and so on, words like that in a statement. I'm going to save you a lot of time. They're all rubbish, okay? They're all rubbish. None of them are up to that Google standard. We're aiming for something that can identify that all of these are referring to the same person or the same word, the same entity. That's what we're going to build, okay? And it turns out that it's actually pretty easy. The key to doing this all revolves around a little function that you've probably not heard of. Most PHP people have not heard of it, but it's a little function called the metaphone function, okay? And that's all there is to it. So for example, let's take all of these names here, right, with all the crazy spellings, right? I'm going to whack these in here. And then if I go to listings fix, I'm going to run that, okay? You'll see that we've got our different names here. There's no surprise, right? And the spelling is all over the place, right? Now, check this out. This metaphone function gives us, what's the word I'm looking for? A phonetic version of the string, okay? So for example, if I was to go, let's say, echo metaphone name, right? And then I'll chuck a little line in here so you can see what's happening. And watch this. If I do refresh, you'll see, I'll bring the size down, that something incredible has happened. With one little function, PHP is giving us a phonetic version of the name David Connolly. And lo and behold, they're all the same. They are phonetically all the same, right? So I happen to have, for example, I'm in the room right now with I've got a few guitars here. Now one of the guitars that I've got is a Fender Telecaster, okay? Let's imagine you're building an online shop and somebody writes it like that in the search engine. Let's imagine another guy comes along and he's like the worst speller ever. He writes vendor Telecaster, right? So we've got the worst spelling or the worst spellers on the planet and have just searched. Well, with our function, look, they are all phonetically the same. Isn't that incredible? So we can use that cool little function to build a really, really awesome search engine, and other web developers will be amazed and they'll say, how did you manage to do this? This is absolutely incredible. And you're going to be like a magician because you'll know the secret. It's all about that little function, okay? Now, if you're a NodeJS developer, you want to go to the terminal and write npm install metaphone, okay? Node.js developers, and you want to go to that npm website, and the name of the package is metaphone. And as you can see, the way that you use this thing in JavaScript is very, very similar. In fact, it's almost identical to PHP in terms of the syntax and whatnot, so it's very, very easy to use. Syntax may change from person to person, but the concepts are easy, you know. Right, so let's build this thing and let's make this search bar for this website very, very awesome. So to start this off, I'm going to go into the table where all of the action is happening, and I'm going to make a brand new column right at the end here, and the column is going to be called sounds like, okay? And I'm going to make it a variable character 255, okay? 255 will be enough because this phonetic thing, it condenses the strings. 255 will definitely be enough, actually. So that's us. We have a new column. Thank you very much, okay? Then I'm going to go and just to show you what's happening, I've made a little function here called fix, and all it does is it gets everything from that table, okay? Again, your syntax may be different, but it doesn't matter. I assume that you know how to fetch everything from a database table. Fair enough. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build a little function here, and I'll call it make sounds like, okay? And it's going to take in an array, this array that we'll call data here, okay? And I'm going to just say something like sounds like, and I'll start it with an empty string. This will prevent us from getting errors. And then I'm going to say if is set data company name. Then I'm going to say sounds like also equals, and then we're going to say metaphone data company name. Okay, and as a matter of fact, why don't we add a little space on as well? So we'll really get these good phonetic versions of this thing going, okay? Okay, pretty easy. And then I'm going to do return sounds like. There we go. So as we loop through all of these different companies, I'm now going to say sounds like is make sounds like, and passing in this data thing. Then I'm going to echo it out, and we'll chuck in a new line. So if I go to listings / fix, you'll see that the function has taken the name of the company, the address, all of that information, and it's condensed it into these phonetic versions of how to say all of that stuff, and it's fantastic. Look how condensed everything is. It's absolutely fantastic. We've also got a nice neat little function here. You may write this differently. I'm absolutely sure that there's a way to do this with about 2 lines of code, but it's early in the day. It's just gone past the crack of noon and I'm still waking up, okay? So there we go, we have a sounds like. Thank you very much indeed. So whenever there's an insert or an update that happens that affects that database table, I want to run this make sounds like thing so that we have a phonetic version of all of that stuff, right? So in the case of this website, there's a little function here called insert, and I'm just going to say data, and it would be called sounds like is this, and then we would have make sounds like, passing in the data variable. How cool is that? Okay, and we can do that every time there's an insert and every time there's an update. Just 2 lines of code and this thing is ready to rock. Okay, so the next stage of the process for me is that I've got to run this function through all of the database. Now I've got about 1,500 records, and I'm going to have to just write some code that runs this thing. It'll be quite boring and not relevant to you guys, so I'm just going to fast forward the video, okay? Okay, so a few minutes have passed and I've just put together a little fix script here. It's nothing fancy, it's very, very crude actually, and it's basically just doing updates here, and it's doing 100 at a time. I'm just hitting refresh. PHP pages should be able to handle 100 no problem, so there we go. I've just ran that. Okay, so now all of our records on the table have a sounds like column with a phonetic version of all the company details. So the rest of this process is really easy, and as a matter of fact we're almost finished. All we have to do is go into where this search happens, right? Now you may have a variable called search phrase or something like that. In the case of this website, the name of the variable is location, doesn't matter. And I'm going to say that location is metaphone location. So I'm bringing up that awesome function. And then I'm going to take out all of this rubbish here. And I'm going to say where sounds like is like location. Okay, and then we're just going to do that. And I happen to have a little order by thing going on. You might want to do that as well. If you really want to go Google standards with this, and I'll give you a little tip. For something like an online shop, you might want to look at something like the number of impressions or the popularity of a product, how maybe the customer rating, average customer rating, or how many sell. And you can order the results by all of those things. So we're talking about a seriously Google-esque search engine here, giving the best results at the top and also accommodating all of the people who are not very good at spelling, you know. So anyway, that's what we're going to do for this site, but you can do whatever you need for yours. And then if we go back and we'll do London, okay, and we'll do go, you'll see that all of the stuff now shows up. And in fact, I'm going to do London with an IN, okay? And look, oops daisy, I forgot a category. That's another thing I need to fix. Don't worry about that. Look at this. It shows up even for that stuff. Pretty easy, right? Pretty straightforward. And the only thing I'll say before I close is just a wee reminder to the SQL users here that you do not want to fire raw queries into the database. So don't forget to make those queries secure. I'm going to be using query binding in this case, but that's for another video and there's no point in adding that. In the meantime, good luck. I'll catch you later.